Hi guys, we're back with another Wednesday show. Aaron Macy, thanks for joining me.
How are you, Matty?
I'm not too bad, how are you?
I'm enjoying the sunlight, I must say.
Yeah, it's very nice, and we had a nice little interview with John Sargent only a couple of hours ago, and it was also nice in his backyard there.
It was excellent.
At the stables.
It's amazing the difference between like where his stables are up the top, I found, to going down the stables down the bottom. Just the difference in weather and heat, temperature, it's amazing.
Yeah, so John was on, great little insight. We talked about, he's got some nice horses, Kiramosa, Gust to Win. We talked about the Cobalt situation. He's obviously inherited Centre Pivot, which has been an interesting horse for him, and he's got Roble involved with the Segino horses, so it's a really good little chat.
Yeah, and just at the end he gave us a few young unraced horses to follow, which was quite insightful.
Exactly.
From such a
You've
astute
got to
trainer.
Watch the video to find out. We also you caught up with Dallas regarding the mounting yard from Saturday.
It was interesting.
Yeah, and we also got a trial review and a little chat about our products that did well on Saturday.
It was a good week. I think a few of us forecasted hopefully having a good day with the dry tracks.
You did, yeah.
And we were rewarded, so...
You were. It was a great day for most people all around, which was good. No Nick Ashman, but
he's just got too much money, this Ashman. He's just holidays.
Yes. And the reason why he has too much money leads into the feature article that he's writing for us, which is going to be on the futures markets.
Yes, anyone that knows Nick knows that he had a very, very good result in the Spring Carnival with the futures market. A couple of good all-ups. Horses are big prices, and I know he's got an eye on a couple at some big prices for this Spring Carnival, so it'd be interesting to have a look what he comes up with.
Very good journalist, but he's an astute judge, especially on the early markets. Before we throw to our interview with John Sargent, the first thing we want to talk about is a new product launching tomorrow, which is Wednesday, or today actually, sorry, is Mark Lambourne's $20 service. Mark has joined the party. So basically Mark's new product, $20 for the week, which is amazing. You get about at least 4 meetings, all the provincials, all the metros, and it's his A from B from C from D. So it's his top 4 in order for every race. So that's a pretty good deal, $20 a week.
Excellent.
Yeah, and special bonus for this week only, starts once again at Canterbury today. You'll get his full set, his written set with prices, all the way through to the week, only for this week. Sign up now, grab it. I think you've got Canterbury, Gosford, Rosehill and Kembla. So you get all that. They're normally $60 a sheet, and there we go.
Nice little package to kick off to the
So
spring.
Mark is on board. One2follow.com.au in the product shop or the Punters Show website. There's a link. But that's it with Mark for now. Let's throw to John Sargent down at Randwick. Hi guys, our feature interviews continue, and today our special guest is John Sargent. John, thanks for having us at your lovely stables.
It's a pleasure anytime, guys.
Yeah, we're up at the top end of Randwick on High Street, and I was just saying before how a nice environment you've got here.
Yeah, it's lovely. Graham Rogers used to train out of these stables, and good horses like Zavabeel and Polar Eclipse have come out of here, and it's up a bit higher, it gets a good breeze in the summer, and so it's lovely.
Beautiful. And obviously a New Zealand trainer has come over to Australia to what I suppose let's start with New Zealand. Just tell the viewers a little bit how you were going over there, obviously some of the records that you established, and then obviously the decision to come to Australia.
Yeah, well basically it went back to when I started with horses from a farm in New Zealand, and I rode up, I used to ride in the equestrian side of things, show jumping, and when I was younger. And then I went to Newmarket and worked for 5 years there for Harry Ragg. And then I left there and worked down in Melbourne for 5 years with Angus Armanasco. So I got both sides of things, and eventually took it up in New Zealand, and that led to training there, and then going to train in Singapore and Malaysia. I won the premiership there in the year 2000, and then went back to New Zealand and won the premiership in New Zealand in about 3 years ago. I think it was before I came over here.
Yeah. Okay. And what was the culmination of I guess situations that made you decide to come to Australia?
Probably eventually the money, and also change. You know, you get set in your ways and at home, and you know, I'd done most of what I wanted to, and my children just left school and going to university, so it was probably a good time to move over here and get into a vibrant scene and where the money is.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Do you think training all around the world's added to the way you do things today? Have you picked up different things from different countries?
I think so. You can find in Asia the temperature's very hot there, and a lot more horses can't handle the heat, and you can't work them as hard because once they lose weight over there, you can't get it back on them, so you don't train them as hard. And then in England, you learn how to train stayers. Obviously, that's what they've got over there, and same in New Zealand. And then Australia, you learn with the sprinters, they jump and run. So yeah, you get a variety of different training. So it all helps out when you're a trainer.
And one of the first questions, as is prepared, you're not sort of known to be a first-up trainer. Is that situational to what horses that you have in your stable, or you always have a long? You like to think long preps with your horses?
Yeah, probably to the extent that obviously here I'm not a punting stable. It's I've got owners here that a lot of them are breeders, and I'm known as a sort of a staying trainer, obviously with the success I've had at the Oaks and whatever. And I find I just give a horse one trial to get them give them a blowout, and then just like the fillies I've got starting up for the spring at the moment, they'll just start through the grades at 1200 and up to 14 to a mile and be peaking when they get to their main mission, not sort of having them too really early.
And do you think that we in Australia over trial?
I think they can. I mean, you should be good enough judge, I would have thought, to do it on the track and see what horse is fit enough and ready to go. But obviously everyone's got their own way of training. But if you've got 2-year-olds, obviously you can get them ready to go first up. But 2-year-olds aren't hard to train. They're probably the easiest ones to train because they're either a 2-year-old or they're not. You just give them a sprint up, and if they haven't got natural speed, they're not going to make it at 2. And if they have, they're there. Whereas training, I think fillies are the hardest to train because they're a lot more temperamental, and a lot of the stayers need more time.
How do you, when you see these young horses, how do you know they've got the ability to, say, be an Oaks or a Derby horse? How do you know they're just not slow?
Just go and look at them, and you like a big rangy type, and with a good eye, a good walk, and good nostril. I look for when they come out. Basically, they could have a few things wrong if they turn out a lot, but I don't usually worry about that. And then obviously the breeding helps. If they buy authorised or Dylan Thomas or Zabeel, you know they're going to stay a bit. But I buy them on type, and you can usually buy them a lot cheaper in Australia and New Zealand because here they like to run early, and they buy early 2-year-olds, so they're a lot dearer, the 2-year-old types. But stayers you can buy pretty reasonably.
Okay. Do you pick out all your own stayers?
Yeah, I usually go to the sales and look at most, just about every horse at every sale I go to, and because I don't have a big buying bench, so I usually have to spend my own money and back my judgment, and then after I buy them I syndicate them, just put them into 10 shares and people buy into them.
Okay.
How is Australian racing for a trainer like yourself, especially having to buy on spec and off your own cash? How risky is it to be a trainer as a business?
It is hard, but I was lucky enough to do very well in Asia, and I made enough money up there to be able to buy my own horses now. And instead of investing my money in property or whatever, I've invested it in horses, because as I remember my accountant saying to me, look, do what you think you can do best, and you back your judgment, don't you? And if you can't do that, you don't be in the game. So that's what I do, and hopefully it's been going well at the moment,
Okay. And the 2-year-old scene and 3-year-old, we know, as you've mentioned, everyone's sort of mad for an early runner. Are you are you getting owners that are more open to that, or what do you used to see if you like a horse and it's fast and it's nice and it's 2, you buy it and ready to race?
Yeah, that does well. I've trained 3 Magic Million winners in New Zealand, and so I can train 2-year-olds and stayers. It's just a type I seem to get given, so mate, I'm happy to take anything and train them as long as they turn out all right, really, in the end.
All right, so on that, when you're looking at 2-year-olds, is that something you want to continue to do and focus on?
I'll probably get some more 2-year-olds in the stable now. I didn't buy many this year, probably about 10,
Yeah.
you know, compared to the 150 or whatever other trainers get. But I get a lot of other horses from studs that come in that are bred to be later. So, you know, but I'll work on it each year to get more horses. But hopefully the more success you have, the more horses you get offered. So that'll build as time takes it. I mean, look at Chris Wallow, took him quite a while to get going, and he's a champion now and deserves to be.
As you said, you've won the titles and you actually held the record in New Zealand. Is that a target for you in Australia?
Probably not at my age now. I'd just like to have a niche market here. I've got about 40 in work now, and that's just a nice number. I'm quite a hands-on trainer. When the vet comes every morning, I make sure I'm there to see them trot up, and I'll show the vet what to do, not the other way around. I think I know what I'm looking at, but that's what a lot of happens. Everyone's so busy they leave it to the vets. And a lot of horses here I don't think need vets or treated, and the vets love doing it because they're making money, aren't they? So I like to do a lot of that myself and be hands-on.
Yeah, it was certainly something that came out a few weeks ago when one of the bigger trainers said I basically can't look at every horse I have, and it's in the hands of vets and second in charge and stuff. So you like to know what's going in and out of every horse of yours.
Yeah, I think so, because if you're hands-on, you can find out mistakes before they happen, and that's at this stage of life, I like to just have a boutique type stable, and the ones that aren't good enough, I tell the owner straight away that I think they're not going to be up to the mark, and they can go and be trained at half the price at country tracks and race for half the fees. And it works out pretty good that way, because the owners want to hear that, and they'll give you a replacement that might be a group horse.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
On with those horses, how important are jockeys for riding your horses? Because as you said, with training of 2-year-olds, they jump and run. So with the 2-year-olds, are pretty much jumping and running. But in these staying events, especially with young horses, you have riders like Huey that can really relax those younger horses. How important are those jockeys to your stable?
Very important. It's so important, I think, that a jockey stays with a horse, because when he gets to know a horse, it helps. For an example, I had a good one the other day called I'll Take the Jag. Blake Shin's been riding in track work. He won on it. He's been away at Ascot, so I haven't started it while he's been away, and I'll start next week because he's back to ride.
So you're actually waiting for him to get back to ride the horse?
Because he knows the horse, and you'll get Wyona Costum with Queen of Kariba. Had a great little run through, 3 or 4 wins in a row. She knew the horse, didn't have to go round. She knew it had a short, sharp sprint, so she's a great ride on that type of horse. And obviously with your staying races, your Bowmans and those James McDonald, the top riders, and if you can get them, you grab them, but it's hard to get them.
Okay.
And Ty Anglin, was he on Gust of Wind when he won?
He was on Thunder Lady, and they changed the jockeys at the last time, actually.
Oh, really?
Because he rode Thunder Lady in the lead up to Vinery and finished third, and then they elected to bring down Zach Purden to ride Thunder Lady, and he switched to Gust of Wind, so it worked well because he won the Oaks on the filly.
And that was I remember seeing her in its Scone. Is that right? And it's a strange, it just doesn't. It's just, as a punter, you don't assume a Scone winner can go all the way to a Group 1. And you didn't pull the wool over the punter's eyes, but you knew something that we didn't know.
Probably the same as Kuramosa. She went from a maiden winner at Newcastle to won the Wakefield Oaks double, and she's back this season, but she was a maiden and not far, about a month out from the Oaks, I think as long as you've got them peaking to hit those races, it doesn't matter, what they've done before. You get them to the optimal distance, they can beat whoever they're against.
So that's something punters should look out for. A John Sargent trained horse going at the provincials or even the country, it shouldn't pigeonhole them for what they are.
No, I try and place them at distances, and that'll suit them coming up. It doesn't matter if they win at Goulburn or win in the midweek in town. If they're good enough, they'll go from Goulburn and go and win at Flemington,
Okay. So is that something you also look to do, because the owners can... You almost cheat the benchmark in a sense.
Yeah, I think it's good with a horse too, getting its confidence. Like that horse I talked about, I'll take the Jag. I think the horse is probably good enough to come and run midweek in the city, you know. But I think I'll just go out to a benchmark at Hawkesbury and I'll just go up through the grades and get its confidence. And if it's good enough, it's a done deal, you know. The other very good High Chaparral, that's what Murray Baker did it. He just went bang bang, winning at Wyong did it, and Canterbury and courses like that, and then he went and won everything. So it's I think it does the horse good giving it, instead of tossing it into the deep end and just because you've got a runner in a big race, but it doesn't mean it's going to do the horse any good.
Okay. With your first prep for a horse, like I'll take the Jag, do you picture yourself having maybe no more than 2 or 3 runs, or is it just horses for courses? Some can handle a bit more?
Some can. A horse like that's very laid back, and he'll tell me when he's, goes off his food, or if he can say he gets beaten and he's growing, whatever. But he's had a lot of time, that horse, because he went Shinshaw last season. So you'll get a lot of fillies you'll think they're going to go through to Sargent Oaks or a certain race, and they'll go off their feed, and track work's not quite as good. So the best thing is just to spill them. I don't think you need to carry on. Give them a good 6 weeks out and they'll come back. And I think horses, the old days of giving horses long spills was the way, but now if you just put them in and out, they'll tell you when they're strong and fit. They'll show them their track work and how they eat, whether they're up to staying and work.
Okay. So we'll go back to Gustav Wynn, who you won the Oaks with, and you've been heard in the media saying you're looking at the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, it's a big thing to state, but she's probably come in to work, if you saw her this time, better than any horse I've had spill, turning from a 3-year-old to a 4-year-old, because apart from Ethereal, there hasn't been a 3-year-old filly that stepped up to the down in the Oaks, because you're racing against limited opposition in 3. And it's like a boy going from being a champion rugby player or league player at school to playing for Manly or a top club, rugby club in New Zealand. They get knocked over pretty quick by the big boys. So she's come back a lot bigger than strong. She looks like a 4 or 5-year-old mare now. So she had a good break for 6-7 weeks after the Oaks. And one thing about her, she'll just put her head down. I know she'll go 2 miles because she's just an out-and-out stayer. So she hasn't got the brilliance of other horses, and I wouldn't be backing her, I doubt, until she probably gets up to 2,000. She'll go fresh up in the Warwick Stakes 14. She'll go a mile, and I'd say from 2,000 onwards you could look at her, but before that she'll just get out the back, come home, unless she does a scone thing, and I'll have to eat my words, but I don't think she will. She'll need a few runs to come, through the grade.
Did she surprise you that day at Scone?
She's been showing not a lot on the track, but a couple of times I've said to the jockey, look, Ryder, go to the line the last 200. She's put some big strides in, and it was obviously a good surprise, but you don't get horses doing that don't go on and do it, And then next up she went to Hawkesbury, and Brendan Abdul had to push out. She wasn't as impressive, but then I thought a run leading into the Oaks, when they put that race back, ran on the Monday, wasn't it? I thought that was a good run. She ran home well that day, and she was spot on for the race.
Yeah, that last 50 metres, she really attacked the line, and video watchers probably stopped watching the race, to be honest, after she went past the line. But that was some really strong work late.
Yeah,
Is that something you should look out for?
Yeah, I think you can with stays. They're working through the line. They might finish 5th or 6th or 4th, but you'll see them finishing, carrying on round the back. Yeah. You can pick it out with them, but I think you'll get more stars in Australia now with them buying more stallions that are the starring orientated. I think it's going to happen here. It's getting too dear to buy them in England and that now, so I think they'll have to bring a lot of the size here to breed.
How do you compare the English stayers, say, to the New Zealand and the Australian stayers?
Probably the English stayers are more dour. I've trained a couple of them, or more than that actually, but they're more one pace. But we can bring them here, and you'll see what the Aussie trainers do to them too. When I worked in England, the horses out for about an hour and a half at a time, and working up and down hills, they run all the speed out of the horse. So here, we've only got the facilities of the tracks, but use short, sharp sprints. They can put a lot more speed into them, I think, having them in English stays in Australia.
Okay. And all the bookings for your horses, are they all done? Is that all handled by yourself and your team, or do you have people that you sort of talk to for form references and that sort of stuff? Because we've heard some trainers, they have you know, like form analysts and sort of punters that sort of give them advice and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, I do it all myself. I'm probably not big enough to warrant having that. If I got bigger, I obviously would, but I've got a very good person in Gareth Mattray, that's my second in charge. He's trained group winners himself in New Zealand, and he's moved over here to, his family are here, and his grandkids have just been born here, so he just wants to work under me and sort of semi-retire, and he's a great help, because if I'm not here, he's a second set of eyes, so that's a big help. But we mostly do it ourselves between us, and try and get the jockey to match the horse.
Okay. We've seen that you've taken on the Sargent horses under your name, which also comes along with Pete. How's that going?
No, good. But Pete's obviously got a lot. That's Peter Roble we're talking about. He's got a lot of ability as a jockey, and he wants to train in the near future. So if he can learn a bit under me for the next year or so, you know, he'll obviously step out and get his own licence. So that's what's happened there. And Kevin's got a nice young team there, a lot of yearlings and that coming through, but there's some older horses like hopefully Centre Pivot and will step up, and Kevin's just bought half of Eloping that arrived last week that people wouldn't know about, so that'll be coming out in the Sargent colours as well. And no, it's a nice add-on. The stables are right next to mine here, and there's about 20 horses there, so it's very easy to handle.
How's Pete taking to that side of things?
Yeah, he seems good. He's a natural horseman. Obviously he can't ride now, but he thinks along the same lines as I do, and I think if he learns a bit in the next year, he'll get out and he'll make a very good trainer in his own right.
Okay. You just mentioned Centre Pivot, and it's a horse that's sort of been a little bit controversial. It got mentioned the other day in the Kavanagh inquiry. He's claimed was on cobalt at one stage. What do you know about cobalt and the after effects of it?
Well, I'll tell you what, if it doesn't come up in the next couple of runs, you know it does affect him.
Right.
Because we've done everything possible. I noticed he hasn't got the best feet, and now whether that's going out of his system, that can happen. And he's been pulling a few shoes, but we've seemed to have got on top of that now. And he's a healthy horse and he looks well, but his first run was so I would have liked to see him hit the line stronger. He's in on Saturday. I'd like to see him hit the line, and his third start when he gets to a mile, you'd want to see him really firing, because if he's not, it could affect him.
So the trainers around Randwick and whatnot, there's no sort of, we're all confident that cobalt horses that have had cobalt don't come up. So there's no.
I think it's yet to see. A lot of them are starting to get some of the trainers' horses. It's too early days, but this would be a good example. This one 4 in a row and looked as though he should be good enough to go to Melbourne in the spring.
Okay.
So if he doesn't come up, people might say it's the cobalt or my training. So I'll blame the cobalt. I'll have to.
Well, he was a horse that did trial so well this time in.
Yes.
He did look to come back well, so
I know.
we were quite disappointed.
Yeah, well, Blake rode him and they were confident his trials were easy, but it's a bit different when you put the horses under pressure and the sticks are out, and that's you want to see if that drug or whatever's affected its heart or its system, so it'll be very interesting, because it could be a good point if it has, of how bad people using that drug, what it does to a horse.
Okay.
Has it ever been a problem in New Zealand? Has it been a major problem in New Zealand?
Never seen it myself since I've been there. I see there's a couple of charges there now, but I don't think it'll ever get big in New Zealand either, because it's mainly revolves around betting. Obviously, if you know a horse has got an edge and you've got some drugs in the system, you can get through the drug testing system, you'll win it on the punt, but they don't have bookies in New Zealand, and a decent $1,000 bet in New Zealand would make horse favourites, so then they get nothing off the punt on the tote, whereas here it's all about the punt, and that's why they obviously do it.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing as a trainer, knowing that Australian racing is funded and it's all about the punt, I suppose? Does that affect you in any way?
Probably not, because it makes a healthy environment, I think, because the money turned over here puts it in the stakes, and that's why I've moved here as well, because the stakes are so good, An average race in New Zealand is $7,000, That wouldn't even pay for a month's training fees or 2 months' training fees, But here, it's the stakes are good, and the punting brings that and brings a good atmosphere on course too. I think it gets everyone going. The Aussies love it, don't they? They bet and drink.
This guy does all of that. And before we finish off, So like plans for this year and goals for this year. Like obviously you got a couple of handy horses, especially Gust of Wind, and even I'll Take the Jag as an up and comer. How far in advance do you sort of set goals?
The goals I'll be setting are getting Gust of Wind, Thunder Lady, and Kiramosa to Melbourne for the Cup races if they're up to it. Thunder Lady will have to qualify. She's not quite high enough in the ratings, so she'll be aiming for the Metropolitan or the Bart Cummings down there. It's a qualifying race.
Okay.
She'll have to be near a peak to win one of those and then carry on. Whereas Gust of Wind, there's no pressure. She's qualified for the Cup, so I'll just work her through to be down there at a peak fitness. And Kiramosa, if she's injury free, we'll take her as there as well. And then I've got a couple of horses here, look, staying types. I've got maybe an authorised filly here called Caracal Lass that is trialling on Friday. She could be Oaks bound if she comes up. She looks an Oaks type, but she hasn't raced yet.
Okay.
And then a couple of young horses that have just turned 3 that are unraced. A nice horse that trialled yesterday called Esteban, and a Costa Colt that I brought at the Ready to Runs. He looks promising, and a full brother here called Sweet Shamrock. He's a full brother to Swift Lady that ran in the Oaks this year. He looks a promising O'Reilly colt. So they're all unraced, but they've shown enough now that they're either going to step up and soon, or they'll go out for a spell.
Okay. All right, John. Thanks for
that's a lot.
Thanks for giving the punters at home a bit of an insight into your thinking and philosophy.
No, anytime, guys.
And we'd love to have you again soon.
No, happy punting to everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
All right, there he was, John Sargent. I haven't had a good chance to sit down with Sarge before, but he's a good man, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a good, real relaxed-natured kind of bloke. He's that larrikin knockabout, very similar to Bjorn.
Yeah.
Just in a probably different stage of his career.
Yeah, he's a very good trainer and he's had some good success, so I hope you enjoyed that. Just a reminder, Mark Lambourne launches his $20 product this week. It starts today at Canterbury. $20 gets his sets for the whole week, every provincial meeting and metro, and it's his top 4 selections. Special bonus is his $60 sets are for free this whole week with all the prices.
Exciting.
Mark stuff, some of the best guys in the business use it, so grab it, test it out this week. Mark Lambourne is on board.
I believe we have a tournament coming up, mate.
We do. We've had some lead-up tournaments for the Memsey qualifiers over the last couple of weeks, and we've got one more this week to qualify. The Memsey will be a $500 buy-in, but for this week only, you can win entry into it just by finishing in the top 3 or 4 positions, depending on how many people come on board.
Depends on how many runners, I believe. I think Kingsley had another second. I think he'd be looking to take out the Memsey. Yeah,
Kingsley will be looking to take it out. So some big names. We had about 15,000 in the pool last tournament. So as we said, a cheap chance this week to buy in before it's the 500 buy-in. So enjoy the Memsey tournament this week. Qualifying tournament. Let's throw to a little interview you did with Dallas talking about the mounting yard at Randwick on Saturday.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of luck in the previous week, so hopefully we can give a good little insight again and find a couple of future winners out of it.
Here it is.
Yes, thank you, Aaron and Matt, and hello, Aaron.
How are you, Dallas?
Oh, very well, lovely day in Sydney. Vitamin D, how good is it?
Outstanding.
Lovely. It was an outstanding day all round on Saturday for a lot of us. And from the yard, I suppose the first horse I want to talk about, Aaron, and hopefully the people that have been watching this and watching it every week might have got a feel for about the importance of watching a horse progress, because the collective moral of the day was Marty. It's a horse we've spoken about a zillion times. I think every time she's run this preparation, we've mentioned her on the show. And with everybody hopefully getting a feel, not ready, ready. And just hopefully they provided people with a bit of an insight into what we look at the yard and what sort of advantages we can get.
There's one thing I think you said on the preview show, Race Speed Profiles coming back with a BAM, and Marty was it and she delivered it for us.
Yeah, she did. It was great. But as we saw in the yard, she'd improved well last start, but still with improvement. But there on Saturday, she'd really tightened up and was ready to go.
Yeah, I think the backup was the key to that as well. Just really had a tight fit and let her roll. And I know you didn't like that J-Par didn't get off the fence, but I like the way he at least let it roll. And that's the trick to
it. He did well there, but that's J-Par that doesn't get off the fence. But she's almost at the top now. We'll see. What do you think that she might be better at 2,000 metres, don't you? I'm not sure.
No, I used to have that opinion of her. Gay got on the radio and said you won't see the best of this horse till she gets to 2000. She does race a little bit fierce, although on the backup she probably did look a little bit more dour, so maybe she will relax. I think she just needs to get into a rhythm and keep running.
That's right. Well, like most of Gay's horses. But I think one of the big lessons there, Aaron, and we're now probably in the move from wet to dry tracks, hopefully, with if weather keeps up, is, as I mentioned on the Punters show, is that not only were these horses under-prepared, but they're also under-prepared on wet tracks which are unsuitable for them. And when I say these horses, I say Echo Gal, Ins and Outs and Marty, which have won 3 of the 8 races. They were coming through. They're not suited on the wet, but also compounding that was their lack of fitness on the wet track. It's a real big double negative.
And well, that was one big thing you and I both pointed out when we did see them first up. They were quite fat, and they can get away with it first up on dry tracks, but not so much on the wet.
Absolutely. So I think the lesson being there is Echo Gal, Ins and Outs all look common form, and Marty look common themselves. But in the coming weeks, there'll be a lot of these horses seeing there. You just got to be really forgiving about it. And that's probably the number one lesson we can have from the mounting yard for this week.
Yeah, I think it's going to make it quite tricky though, because now you are going to have the really talented horses come back that are going to be first up, but they are going to get that first up on a dry track.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, the feature race of the day was the Missile Stakes, and Babiro, again, there was a horse we mentioned when he resumed that he had a stack of improvement. He's still got a fair bit of improvement to go. He'd improved a few lengths, but he's still got that at least up his sleeve.
But I think the key to him was, and we spoke about it on the preview show, I tried to get away from the first up horses, which I was happy with once we saw him in the yard. But it showed the key was Zaratone bowling along in front had gassed all those horses, and him having the one run, I think, was the thing that got him over the line. But
in saying that, Suwiri was as trained up as it has been first up. Temple of Boom was right at the top of its game. There's not a lot for these horses to go.
I still think Temple of Boom had.
But where's it go to?
Probably 1400 metre race where he can probably get a softer lead. I would assume.
I thought that was his chance. But Messine, with a lot of the Hawks horses of the day, it was fat.
He was the fattest one of the.
He got the.
But I think we all expected
award.
that. We all looked at it. He had the 2 trials, but he's off a long break. They were quiet trials. He wasn't pushed out. He paraded as you would expect him to parade.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't expect him to be that fat.
Oh, you thought he'd be?
No, he was fat. He was fat. So I think he's done quite well to hang on.
I think he did good, and I don't think he had an overly testing run. He just travelled into it, and he just got gas late.
Exactly. Now we mentioned the Hawks team. Himalaya Dream's an interesting one, Aaron. I know that you and I differ on this at times, but it was doing some things I don't like. But sometimes you can be forgiving fresh. But it's Harry hindsight here there too. Obviously, there was some signs that things weren't happening with the horse, and that, like everything, like most things in racing, Aaron, nothing is an absolute, and that's where you've got to make a bit of a judgment call. Is this a good sign that it's fresh and feeling well, or is this a bad sign that it's not all that happy? And I think the latter was obviously proved to be the case.
I think he was the one that, at the start, I was happy with him when he first came in the yard, because he was a little bit fresh, he was kicking out a little bit, he looked well.
Yeah.
And I think Regis kind of was doing that, where he's kicking out. Yeah. He needs to sort out his manners and all those kind of things. But with the Himalaya Dream, he did really start to sweat up as he went out and onto the track, and he showed that he really was in need of the run.
Yeah, I think more so he wasn't happy with.
He wasn't happy.
There was something not happy with. And then moving on to Regis, as you just mentioned, the thing that I really was worried about was that petrified look in his eye. Yeah. And you can look at his condition; he was in great condition. He wasn't sweating up by looking really anxious, but that look in his eye, and I just don't, unless he gets that out of the game, and I don't know how they get that out of the game without gelding him, I don't know if he can ever be a horse you could back with confidence, because he's just leaving so much in the sheds.
And you saw early on, and I know they stopped early, and he just raced ungenerously.
Exactly right. And even then, when he would look like he was tracking Sebring Sung, he's like a tight coil that's just not going to go, isn't he? Yeah, and until he gets that out, sure, he's got talent and all that. But
he's either going to need a real good pace where he's not going to be allowed to think about it, or he just needs to get his nuts straight.
But even then, if he gets a real good pace, how much energy has he lost in the yard beforehand too? Yeah, that's those type of horses, I think you're better off just letting go. Well, when they're short prices anyway, because
short prices,
there's just not that much between the first and last horse, and if you're giving away 3-4 lengths like he is, I don't know if you unless you're Black Caviar, you can't afford to do that.
No, and I don't think he's got that edge on the field.
I don't, not quite. Anything else? Darcy Wood. Now that's an interesting one too. Horses that go back after their first up run.
Yeah,
you might want to. I don't know if we don't have a cameraman here, and so you might just want to just keep.
It was an interesting one because he paraded so well first up. He didn't look ripped or anything like that. But he looked healthy. He looked well forward enough first up
for 1,000 metres,
especially, and on the wet track. It was a question we both said on the show: was he suited on the wet track? Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But he came into the yard, and we all just went, "You look different."
Yeah, what's this exactly?
His coat didn't look the same. It
just looked like he'd been put in a cupboard and forgotten about for a month, didn't it?
Yeah, he just did not look healthy and he did not look right.
And one thing, hopefully, with this, we're talking about the horse individually, but, give you a bit of an insight into what we think in the yard. For those who aren't aware, 1,000 metres is where you can be a lot more forgiving for horses carrying a bit of condition. Hence how, as you mentioned, first up he wasn't ripped, but he was in great condition and great order for 1,000.
Yeah, I just wonder, because they did go so hard, the fact that he does look like he's still a little bit out of condition and needs to tighten up. Maybe he's just run off his feet.
Oh yeah, all of that. But yeah, exactly. But he just wasn't there, was he? It wasn't a surprise after seeing him parade. I suppose. And then we mentioned Regis, Sebring's son, was clearly the pick in the yard there. But
I think he's one that's probably that. If he wasn't at his top on Saturday, he's going to be on his top.
Next
starts his grand final, in my opinion. In looking at him. And I don't think we've seen Portelli being a great one in keeping those horses have long preps once they go past their grand final.
Yeah, and just going through that field, Voliere had made a quantum leap first to second up, but still got a fair bit of improvement. I still keep thinking he's just gonna. Is he going to go? If he's looking at a Golden Rose, one, I don't think he's good enough to win a Golden Rose. If a couple of the decent horses stand up, but only a couple of them need to, because the rest of them aren't much good. I just get a feeling he's still going to be. Is he still going to be behind? How far behind he was? He started off. I think
one of the jockeys at the end of the day, and he said it's interesting because he's one of those horses. He's obviously got ability. He's probably just off that top tier of those 3-year-olds, and he should have been one of those horses that was grip fit, doing what
he should have. Yeah, this should have been his target.
They should have been his target.
I think that they're not having the trial going into it. I think it was just, maybe missed the boat because you'd think that you're going to have to.
He's going to have to be taking on Vancouver and these horses now.
And we just won't. Anyway, all right, mate. From the yard, well, it's lovely to have some nice weather, and as I said, keep an eye on it. We're feeling very confident from the yard at the moment, so hopefully, whether it's through Glenn stuff, whether it's through ProBet Alive, or whether it's through the race speed profiles, which have got a lot of mounting yard factored into them, I think we're going to have a good spring, Aaron, and we're very confident.
It was a good start with the dry track, and hopefully we can continue this weather.
Oh, look, from experience, that when you start the cycle on the right note, every time it carries through. So far we're really on song with it, and hopefully it can carry through, and hopefully everyone can make some money out of it.
That'd be good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks Dallas and Aaron. Thanks, mate.
You're welcome.
Pleasure.
Yeah, so another good little insight into the mounting yard for those that don't get to the track. Some really vital information there, and you guys have been finding some winners, which have been good.
Yeah, it's always a good edge, especially this time of the year with the resuming horses, and not just the resuming horses, but the horses that are starting to taper off as well.
Yeah, very important point. Let's have a little chat about the trials. Now, you were down at Randwick on Monday, and the stars were out again on Monday.
Yeah, they were. Just before we go into a couple of them, maybe we could have a chat about some of the horses we've highlighted that are all nommed for
San Domingo on Saturday. Yeah.
Yes, okay. I think it's going to be an interesting test because we've got a horse like Vancouver. Some people didn't think he trialled that well. I think that was probably his best trial to date, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Whether he's still going to be forward enough to beat a horse like a real genuine sprinter in like Haptic. Haptic was, like we've spoken about it, everyone's seen his trial. He jumped, he pinged, he looks to be flying.
Yep.
Where I think Vancouver's probably going to be looking for the Golden Rose. He's looking for that 1400.
Yeah, Golden Rose, and they're talking Cox plates and stuff like that, whereas Haptic might be ready right now, but there's another one as well that you've highlighted.
Yeah, Red Zell. It's been one that's really caught the eye at the trials. It was a horse that was very well supported on debut. It was very well supported in second start, but raced quite green. He's come back good. They've thrown the shades on him on the blinkers, which I thought was quite odd, but they wanted to give him a real good test out and to see how they worked on him, and God, he looks to be flying in them. It'd be one to see in the yard who looks really forward.
If you were setting a market right now, is this Vancouver default on top for you?
He has to be default on top in the market wise. Whether I want to back him if he is default on top, and just depends how short he is. I think one thing with Vancouver, a lot of people are saying, oh, he's only coming off one trial, but I think the one trial's good, so it's going to keep him fresh enough to really sprint well fresh.
Yep. Okay, well let's have a chat about the trials on Monday at Randwick. How'd you see them, mate? A couple of good horses were on show.
Yeah, a lot of horses. A couple that I've mentioned before. I mentioned Adrift and Amanpour were really good fresh in their first trial. Actually, in their second trial, were a lot more dour.
Okay.
Which I wouldn't say disappointing, but it just goes to show that Gay's actually really started to put the work into them, and I'm sure they're going to be quite tuned up and getting ready for whatever their major targets are.
Yep.
Cosmic Endeavour, she trialled exceptionally well first up, and they gave her a really good test out in the trial on Monday, and she's ready to go to the races, and I'd be pretty surprised to see her. If she's in against the mares, I'd be surprised to not see her winning first up.
Okay. Have you had a chance to look at her close up?
I haven't seen her really close. I saw her close up first up, and she was in need of the trial.
Yeah. Okay.
And now, so she's had that, and she's had another. I was up in the stand, so I didn't see her close up, but she does look to have come right on.
One for the mounting yard.
Another horse, a couple of the O'Shea horses that have returned. Contributor, he just really looks to be thriving. He trialled as good as he did last time, I'd say. Just nice, quiet trial. Wouldn't be surprised to see him trial again.
Okay.
But at the same time, wouldn't be surprised to see him just first start and try and sprint more fresh.
Okay.
But he's obviously going for the Cox Plate, so it's going to be a slow progression for him.
Yep.
Another horse that's trialling well, had his second trial, just nice, quiet. It's somewhat.
Okay.
I think he's one that's really going to step up to the plate and be a genuine Group 1 horse. Another one there was two in the trial also. Music Magnate, one of Bjorn's. He was kind of that second tier sprinter, 3-year-old, making that progression. He used to race a little bit keen. He looked a lot more relaxed. He had the crossover noseband on, and I think he took a liking to it. He trialled with them, and First Seal, who was also in the trial. There was him, Contributor, First Seal. They all just hit the line nice under a hold, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him make the progression to a top line sprinter.
Okay.
Another two horses as well. Vashka, he's come back good. He's got that form with centre pivot. He's got the form as well, ties in with Berbero. He looks to have come back good. His second trial's much better, looked to have tightened up. Wouldn't be surprised to see him winning first or second up. And one other, Hartnell. He kind of went back and flashed home. Yes, he's probably a grade above the horse, or 2 grades above the horse he trialled against. But he is also a horse that's won over 3,200, and he showed quite a dynamic sprint in the trial off a slow pace. So wouldn't be surprised to see him run a cheeky race first up.
Okay, no worries, mate.
A bit of odds.
Beautiful. Thanks for the trial wrap.
That's fine.
And we'll be back next week with another trial wrap.
We will.
And we'll be back next week with another show. And just remember, Mark's set is available right now in the One to Follow shop. It's $20. You get his top 4 selections launching today.
Yeah, and any other questions you do have, and any people you would like to see interviewed and questions you would like to ask, please do email into the show.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Sounds
Az.
good. See you, matey.
Bye.